Someone better clean that spill before the secretary arrives.
Someone better clean that spill before the secretary arrives. The general's voice thundered across the marble hall, sharp as a whip crack. Soldiers shifted nervously. Staffers glanced around, but no one moved. No one understood the command. Not clearly, except 1. In the far corner, a woman in grey janitor's coveralls slowly straightened from her mop. Her name tag read Elena. A cleaning bucket sat beside her, half filled with dirty water. She looked up, not in confusion, not in hesitation, but with something burning behind her eyes. Then, before anyone could blink, she dropped her mop, clicked her heels together, and stood at full attention with a salute that sliced the air like a blade. Everyone froze. Conversations halted mid-sentence. One soldier whispered, "Did she just salute?" Phones began to rise. Eyes darted between the general and the janitor, unsure which uniform held more weight in that moment. The general's face shifted from annoyance to disbelief. He turned slowly, his gaze landing on the woman with the kind of precision that only comes from decades in command. His eyes dropped to her chest, and that's when he saw it. Faint beneath her coveralls, barely visible under the stitching, were service ribbons. Real ones. Combat citations, a Purple Heart, and one that hadn't been issued in nearly 20 years. The hall's silence thickened. Attention hung there, not just surprise, but shame. They hadn't seen her before, not really. The general took a step toward her. His voice, once booming, was now low and sharp. "State your name." She held her salute firm, voice unwavering. "Sergeant First Class Elena Ruiz." "Retired." A breath sucked out of the room. The soldiers behind him stiffened. One man blinked in disbelief. He had passed her every day, never said a word. The secretary, now approaching from the far end of the hall, slowed to a stop, curiosity overtaking protocol. The general's brow furrowed. "Why are you in that uniform?" She lowered her salute, picked up her mop slowly, and looked him in the eyes. "Because when they forgot who I was, I put on the uniform they'd let me keep, the one that never stopped fitting." She paused. "I clean these halls because they remind me of the halls I fought to protect." Flashbacks flooded in behind her voice, an unseen war zone, dust, gunfire, a younger Elena dragging a wounded comrade through the rubble, blood streaking her cheek, radios crackling. The kind of service that doesn't come with applause, just silence when the mission is done. We see her standing alone at a casket draped in a flag, then sitting in a job interview across from someone half her age, asking if she could handle physical work. Back in the present, she continued, "I was decorated, then discarded. So I stayed close to the place that forgot me, hoping one day it would remember." The general stood frozen. Everyone else had lowered their heads. Even the press, once hungry for a headline, had their cameras down. Respect came slowly, and then all at once. One young private stepped forward and saluted her, then another. Within moments, every uniformed soldier in the room stood in formation, saluting the woman they'd walked past for years. Their faces were a mix of pride, guilt, and awe. Elena didn't cry. She didn't need to. Her back was straight, her eyes forward. This wasn't a moment she'd asked for. It was one she'd earned long ago. The secretary approached and gently touched Elena's shoulder. "Why didn't you tell us who you were?" "I did," Elena replied. "With every mop I pushed, every boot I shined, every day I showed up invisible. But no one was listening." The general looked down, deeply moved. "I failed you." She gave a faint smile. "Not just me. A lot of us. You just saw one of us today." Then she bent down, picked up her mop again, and said the words that silenced the room a final time. "Now, if you'll excuse me, General, you gave a command. I intend to follow it." And just like that, she turned and began mopping the very floor where she'd stood at attention. Calm, quiet, and completely in control. She didn't need a parade. She didn't need a headline. She was already home. The general watched her for a moment longer, then gave a sharp salute, not out of pity, not out of protocol, but out of genuine respect. She had been a ghost in the halls for too long. But now every footstep that followed would echo differently, because Elena Ruiz had reminded them what true service looked like. The story went viral in less than 24 hours. Not because of what she said, but because of how she stood. In the presence of power, she held her ground. Not to be seen, but to be remembered. Sometimes the quietest people in the room are the ones who gave the most. Never judge by a uniform or the lack of one. The greatest heroes walk among us unseen until we finally open our eyes. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comments.